So this yoga session, the long class session, which is about 90 minutes, is a sequence leading to Ustrasana, the soft camel. So we'll be doing lying down poses first, and then some standing poses, kneeling poses, and hopefully probably finishing around downward facing dog, but just seeing how we go. Might add some more. So if we could start lying down in the corpse pose, comfortably on your mat. So if you need a blanket, do use one. And if you have glasses, just putting them to one side. So we're just going to check in the 3-minute breathing space, noticing how the mind is doing, first of all. Funny old mind, what's it thinking about? And whatever it's thinking about, it's kind of trying to entertain you. It doesn't like to be sort of still and quiet, it gets a bit bored. So I tend to treat it with a little bit of amusement. What's it thinking about now? Okay, and then moving to the emotional level. With great kindness, let's see how we're feeling in this moment. And then let's look at the body. How is this wonderfully unique body of ours doing this evening? Noticing any areas which you know are a little bit injured or need to be protected. But also listening, the body will be sending out signals. Can you listen to what it's saying? So you might be able to notice some aches, pains, or something as simple as your skin feeling dry. And then let's take the awareness to the breath. So just breathing in, breathing out, and let the body do the breathing. We're kind of stepping out of the way here. Let the body breathe. And notice how long the breaths are and how long the gaps between the breaths are. When the mind wanders off, coming back and resting the mind's awareness on the breathing. And then noticing all of it together, the breath, the body, the emotions, the mind. How are you in this moment? How do you feel? Observing and being aware kindly, with care, tenderness, gentleness. And continuing our practice with this full awareness, this full present moment awareness. And first of all, could you bring the legs to parallel and breathing in, stretch the arms above the head and just nice long stretch. Bring the toes towards you and continue to stretch the fingers away. Nice and long, nice and long. And then stretch the toes away. Stretch the fingers, left fingers away and the right fingers away. And see if you can feel the base of the rib cage also lifting away from the waist as you stretch on the left and you stretch on the right. And drop the shoulders to the ground and let's allow that belly area to be nice and long and stretched open. And slightly pull in on the belly area so you're applying some massage pressure onto those internal organs. Relax the face if you can. Okay, and then relax the arms and bring the right knee up, rotate the right ankle, pull the right knee in, rotate the right ankle the other way, keep pulling the right knee in, relaxing the shoulders and chin slightly to the chest. So keep rotating the ankle one way for a few and then the other way. Okay, so pressure against that ascending colon and then swapping over to the left knee up and rotate the left ankle. Applying pressure to the descending colon. Okay, and then both knees together and press. So this is a wind relieving pose. So slightly rock the knees towards you, applying more pressure, especially onto the transverse colon and the small intestine. And then rock from side to side, holding the knees close to the chest. So that helps to massage muscles in the back, as well as internal belly massage. And you can move vigorously from left to right or just gently from left to right. Okay, and I'd like you then, if you have socks on, which is quite a good idea to do if it's a cold room for the lying down, but we're beginning to move into poses where I want your feet to make contact with the kind of stickiness of your mat. So what I'd like you to do is to spread the arms out, Maltese cross while you're on the floor. Bring the heels close up to the sitting bones, to your torso, and then breathing out, take the knees to the left, look to the right, breathe in, come up, knees to the right, look to the left. Breathe in, come up. Breathe out to the left, up to the right. So keep going each time you breathe out, going down the other side and looking to the opposite side. And each time you breathe in, bringing the knees back up and the face facing the ceiling. So it's nice and rhythmic with the breath. And it's beginning to do these transverse twists across the torso. And then eventually staying down on one side, looking the opposite way. Rest there for a moment. Okay, and then breathe in the other side and rest there for a moment. And then what I'd like you to do on that side is to see if you can straighten out your legs and bring them up to the level of your shoulder and look the opposite way. So it's more an extended leg twist. Hold on to the toes if you can and push the top hip away from you as you relax the opposite shoulder downwards. And you'll feel that's a little stronger, much more dynamic twist in there. Okay, and then bend the knees, bring them up, and we'll do the same to the other side. Go down the other side and stretch your legs out if you can, up to shoulder level, and look the opposite way. So trying to straighten the legs if you can. Okay, and then bend the knees, breathe in, bring them back up, pull them in tight again, nice and tight, and bring them, rocking them closer to your head and away a little for the second time. Lovely, and then lower the feet to the ground. And if you were using any cushion or pad beneath the head, for the corpse pose and for those poses, just taking it away so the back of the head is nicely flat on the mat and your chin is towards the chest. And we're going to go up into the bridge pose. So I'd like you to bring again the heels up to the sitting bone. And just, you can have a glance, see whether your thighs are parallel. And then be aware of all of the foot. So we want the weight to go through all of the foot, not just the heels, not just the ball of the foot. So get a sense of that, a little push through the feet, see what happens. And then bring the hands down to the sides, palms downwards, and move your fingers towards your feet, down towards the direction of your feet. So really lengthening out of your shoulder joint. Okay, and then relax the arms with palms down on the floor. Check that the chin is towards the chest. It has this tendency to keep sneaking up to the ceiling. Okay, so we're going to, first of all, just rock the pelvis towards you and away from you. The very subtle pelvic rock here, towards you, away from you, towards you, away from you. And it's effective in its own right. You'll feel it engaging thigh muscles and back muscles. But it's also good preparation for the full bridge. Okay, and then next time it's coming towards you, push through the feet, breathe in, take the arms up and behind you, backs of the hands onto the floor, lift the pelvis up, and on the out breath, bring the hands and the torso down together on the out breath. Pause, no breath. Push the pelvis away from you. And then breathe in, pull the pelvis towards you. Up with the pelvis. Hands behind you, back hands on the floor, chin tucked into the chest, knees not splayed out, breathe out, going down. So just keep doing that if you can. Settle Bandhasana. The bridge pose, easy bridge pose. And if you find there's any pain coming through the knee joint, especially at the front of the kneecap, you can move that foot slightly further away, or you can even point the toes out a little. It'll just take pressure off that kneecap. So the next time that we go up in this pose, I'd like you to stay there. So breathing in, going up, push through all of the foot, not just the heel. Tuck the chin in, lift the pelvis as though there was a belt underneath the pelvis going up to the ceiling as we pulled upwards. Lifted, lifted, lifted. Breathing into it. And of course, it's up to you when it feels like you've been here too long. I'm just going to try and stay for as long as feels comfortable for me. You can come down when you're ready. So there's a feeling of the thigh muscles beginning to tremble or burn a little. Russet muscles, which are part of the lift, also feeling like they'd quite like to stop. So let's breathe out and come down. Okay, and to pause, interim pose or rest pose for this is to put the soles of the feet together with the knees going wider out in opposite directions, and let the hands rest wherever they want to, somewhere comfortable for the hands, and nothing to do for a moment. The nothing to do bits are not good, because the body then takes over and starts to adjust the energy centers and the main energy points. Okay, and then I don't know whether this is the good news or the bad news, but possibly the good news. The good news is we're going up into the bridge again. And possibly the bad news is we're going to raise one leg into the air while we're up in the bridge. So let's bring the knees together. Let's bring the heels up to the sitting bone so their heels are about hip joint width apart. Back into the preparation pose. Just tilt the pelvis towards you and away from you a bit. Okay, visualize what we're about to do. We're going to go up into that bridge. So breathing in, up we go. Okay, and then when we're up, I'd like you to lift the right leg up to the heavens. So you're pushing more through the left foot. Try to keep the pelvis level if you can. So that requires a certain amount of strength in all of that left leg, left knee joint, left thigh, left buttock muscle, back muscles, ankle even. And you'll begin to feel that about now you really would like to come down. So let's do that. Breathing out, let's come down, release all the way down, and counter pose is to bring the knees up to the chest as we rest for a moment and hold on to the knees. You can rock from side to side, nice and soothing. And then actually what would be really nice here is to put the hands on the knees and do those circles with the knees. Not just catch into the sacroiliac joints at the back and going the other way. Okay, and then pull in again. And then contemplate we're about to do the bridge with the leg lift on the other side. So let's put the feet down to the floor. hip joint width apart, and the hands down on the floor, palms downwards. Breathing in, let's push through all of the foot as we lift into the bridge pose, and then take the left foot up to the heavens as much as possible. And keep the lift, push through the right foot evenly through all parts of the feet if you can. And it might feel better or worse on this side. One side usually feels better than the other doing this one. If your right knee is hurting at all, you can move that foot slightly forward. Take pressure off that knee joint. And really works the glutes here, so, and the belly muscles too. So even though it feels a little bit, oh, can we stop now? Just staying a little, keep breathing. And then when you really have had enough, breathing out, coming down. And let's pause again with the soles of the feet together and the hands resting somewhere comfortably. Nothing to do for a moment. So if you know the camel pose, you'll understand why the bridge pose is quite helpful for us as we're approaching the camel pose. It's the beginnings of back arches and sort of similar kneeling position, except we're not kneeling, we're doing it slightly differently. So we haven't quite finished with the bridge pose yet. Let's bring the knees together, heels coming up to the torso again, hip joint width apart where the femur joins the socket, that far apart. Okay, and this time we're going to go up and we're going to kind of push through the head, chin to chest, lift where the shoulder blades are. I'm not going up yet, I'm just explaining it. Lift where the shoulder blades, the shoulders are, and lift the shoulder blades sort of towards each other as you tuck the shoulders in and clasp the hands underneath you, pointing the clasped hands towards the feet. So we'll start it with the palms facing downwards, do the usual lift. So push through the feet, breathe in, up we go, chin to chest, push through the head a little as we move the shoulders in towards each other, clasp the hands, and then you can move the shoulders a little bit more closer towards each other and push the hands towards the feet. So you might be able to get a higher Setu Bandhasana this way, a higher bridge. Remember, there's all sorts of ways you can move your feet away if your knees are hurting, walk the toes away from you. But don't, in any yoga pose really, if something's hurting, please adjust or come out of the pose. Please be kind to you. Your body will be telling you that for a reason. Okay, and see if you can move your shoulders a little bit down towards your tailbones as you lift the pelvis up to the heavens. And I don't know whether it feels worse because we've done it a few times or whether we've warmed up a bit. And this is now feeling a little bit easier. Remember about your ankles, don't let them collapse in or outwards, they're just steady over the heel of the foot. And possibly about now, you could think about coming down, or we could go up a little bit higher by lifting the hands underneath the middle of the back. So that takes a very high lift and you'll go onto your toes. And you might think, that's too much, that's too difficult for me. But it's an excellent preparation for the camel pose. And sometimes when people feel fairly confident there, they can actually lift both legs up, supported by the hands. And then dropping down again. It's kind of like a half wheel, Ardha Chandrasana, Chakrasana. So when you're down, I'd like you to let the knees go from side to side. Okay, bring the knees up then to the chest and do the circles, especially if you did the hands into the middle of the back. Circles both ways. And then we do need a rest, so soles of the feet together. Take the knees out to opposite sides, chin towards the chest, relax the shoulders, and hands wherever you feel they'll be comfortable. And we do nothing for a moment, so just resting, allowing the breath to quieten down. And then bringing the knees up, again, feet hip joint width apart. And I'd like you to bring your left foot up and put the outside of the left ankle onto your right knee. Your palms are downwards by your sides. Now lift up with the knee going out to the left. Okay. So you're up in a sort of bridge, but you've got your left ankle on your right knee. And let your left knee just drop downwards. Breathing, 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 breathing. 20, 30 seconds in this pose is good. And then breathing out, coming down. And then put the left foot on the floor, and guess what? Yes, outside of the right ankle onto the left knee. Okay, and then when you breathe out, going up into the pose, taking the right knee out to the side, letting it go down, continuing to lift using the left buttock muscle, back muscles, abdominal muscles. See if you can relax the shoulders. So the hands have two positions in this, either palms downwards, or you could have them behind the head, back to the hands on the floor. Okay, good. Releasing down, bring the knees to the chest and rock and roll a little, and then to side a little, and then circles the other way. And then if you had your glasses off, do put your glasses on because we're about to come up to standing. You've got two options for coming up. One is feet on the floor, roll to your side, push with your hands, come up. The other is cross over the ankles, rock along your mat and along your spine until you're coming up to seated. Okay. So pause there for a moment, interim pose, so an easy cross-legged pose if you can do it. And then coming up to standing. And I'm just going to tilt the screen a little so you could see my little mat a bit better. That's better. Good. So, standing Tadasana, nice and steady, shoulders relaxed and back a little, hands heavy. Check the ankles aren't going far too far outwards or collapsing inwards. Hopefully just underneath the hip joint. Steady weight, even weight through all sides of the foot. So what I'd like you to do is to separate the feet. So you've got, if 12 o'clock is directly in front of you, and you've got your left foot going at 10 o'clock-ish, and your right foot going, pointing to 2 o'clock-ish. And then I'd like you to turn your left foot out. And breathing in, take the arms up. Look down at your left knee, bend it a little over that second toe. This is the right position for the pelvis. Lift up, breathe out and over. So depending on how you feel, you could have a block there. If you felt that it was too far to go down, you could have a block down by that foot as you go into the triangle. So both legs are straight and you can look up to the heavens. Breathing into that pose. And if you feel comfortable with that and you want to go a bit further, you could go into a long stretch triangle, Uthita Trikonasana. Okay, and then to come out of it, could you come down towards the floor, bend the knee, move round to the front, put the feet back at 10 o'clock and 2 o'clock, and just do a forward bend. Wide feet, forward bend. And if you wish, you can walk your feet heel toe further out, so that you're stretching the inner thighs. Okay, and then we're going to do the triangle on the other side. So move the hands slightly forward. Think about the feet, you might need to move them a little bit in. Bend the knees and come up into the sumo wrestler. Nice sumo wrestler. And then straighten the knees, bring the spine back up. Turn the left toes in slightly towards the center. The right toes are pointing away now. Okay, that way. Bend the front knee, check the pelvis, take the arms up. And then lift from the crown of the head and breathe out and down. Again, you might want to have a block there. And the other arm going straight up to the ceiling. Look up if you can. And then take the arm over if you want more of a stretch from the back ankle all the way through to your left fingers. And you can look up through that upper arm. Lovely. And then breathe out and come down on that side. Move over again to the center, forward bend. Again, you can heel toe, the feet further apart, coming down into the forward bend. Okay, and when you're ready, walk the feet. Walk the hands further away from you, the feet a little bit more together, as we're coming up again into the sumo wrestler. Coming up, pushing onto the knees. And then coming up into the star pose, And I'd like you to turn the left foot away from you, bring the hands down. Probably push the right foot back a little, heel toe further away. Then the front knee just to see that it's traveling in the right direction over the second toe. The hips are in the right direction. Check the back hand that it's not traveling too much to the front of the room. And then breathing out, going down into the warrior. Look along the arm, the left hand into infinity. Breathing into the pose, crown of the head lifting, shoulders down, shoulder blades together, shoulder blades going downwards. Hopefully feeling fairly comfortable in that pose, trying not to lean the torso. Push, come up. Feet to the front, relax the hands a moment. Turn to the other side. Point your right toes, bring your left toes in a little. Bend that front knee. And just see that it's going over your second toe. And then breathing in, arms up. Straighten that front knee a minute, but keep the pelvis in that position. And then you want to breathe out, bend that front knee. Don't lean the torso forward if you can help it. Check that your back hand is not wandering, that it's in line with the front, and then look into infinity along that front arm. Tuck the tailbone slightly under. Hopefully trying to get the thigh to parallel to the ground. So the wider the feet are apart, the easier that is. Okay, and then breathing in, push through that front knee. Turn both feet to the front. Breathe out. Bring the hands down. Shake them out a little. And walk heel toe, the hands and feet come to the mountain. Okay. And pause and rest. Rest bit's good. That was strong work. Probably feel it in the thighs at the moment. Close the eyes, crown of the head lifting upwards. Check your shoulder joints. And then just comfortably move the shoulders back a little, opening out the front of the chest. Steady, strong, immovable mountain. Okay, and so from there we're going to again do a bit of a back arch and a bit of a forward bend. So back and forward, using this part of the spine, the lower part of the spine. So if you know you're vulnerable there, you can think how to adapt it, not to go back so far, coming forward, don't go down so far. Certainly don't lock the knees going forward. So let's do that, standing and put the hands into the lower back. Breathe in, look up, drop the shoulders, open out the front of the throat. Keep arching back a little bit more, so the pelvis will come slightly forward and the head begins to rest on the top of the back. Okay, then breathing in, coming up, and breathing out, and the knees, slide the hands down the legs, and just doing a very, very gentle forward bend. Don't go down too far, like a ragdoll forward bend, just a counter pose to the back arch. But enjoy the kind of tranquil soothingness of forward bends while you're there. And you can hang on to your elbows for a moment, letting the head drop down. Okay, then the knees, going into a squat position. Easy squat, whether you're just on the balls of the feet, or some people find it's a harder squat. We're actually sitting on right on the flats of your feet. Your heels are down. Pausing and breathing into that. And then I'd like you to just move to the right and left a bit, if you can. This is also a wind relieving pose, actually applying pressure to the ascending and descending colons with the thighs against that part of the belly. So we're going to go into the variation of the Utkatasana, the very strong pose. So coming up, standing in the mountain, relax the shoulders back again. It might be getting a little bit tight. Give them some backstroke and some forward stroke just to see, and some lifts and drops. Okay, so I'll just show you what the Utkatasana variation is. It looks like this. So you bend the knees, breathe in, take the hands up, go down deeper, go into forward bend, come up, and then go into the back arch. Go back down, hands basically meant to be in line where the ankle is to the knee, so your arms are. Okay, so you can do it with me now, into Utkatasana, and then down, bending the knees into a very, very soft ragdoll, and then coming up into a back arch, back into strong pose, looking up through the hands, and bending further down into a forward bend. Bend the knees, they don't have to be straight. And then bend the knees some more, and coming up into a back arch, looking up to the heavens, and ending the out breath, go back into the strong pose. Abdominal muscles, hold them in a little, engaged, knees bent, going over second toe and looking between those hands. And then to come out of it, straighten the legs, lift the arms up into extended mountain, and then breathe out, coming down. Good. So come down to kneeling. We're nearly there. We're heading towards this camel. And what I'd like you to do is, from kneeling pose, just place the hands on the thighs for a moment to pause. It's always a good idea to not rush from hard work to hard work in yoga, because then the body may as well just be doing some kind of very difficult gymnastics. We actually want it to be able to absorb changes that we've just made. So I'll show you this, first of all, straight on, and then I'll do it sideways on, but we'll do it together. So if you could come up to upright kneeling, and then bring the right foot forward. Okay. And then I'd like you to lean over that right foot, and that's the way you check whether it's in the right place, because if when you lean forward and the knee goes past the toes when you look down, straight side on, that's, if it does that, that's actually quite dangerous on the knee joint. It's going too far over. So you move the feet forward and you bend so that it's more of a right angle behind that knee joint, okay? And then take the arms forward, both arms forward. Okay, so you're kind of lying your right belly on your right thigh, and the front of your face is looking down to the floor. Then come up, drop your left hand, but take your right hand up. And take your right hand behind you, okay, and down towards your left ankle. Okay, so you're not going to get towards the left ankle, I don't think, but you're looking down in that direction. So kind of an interesting twist going on there. Okay, and then take both arms up and do the opposite side. The left hand comes down to the left ankle. Now this one, you might be able to reach back and hold on to that left ankle and do an interesting back arch. If you can look up to the ceiling, do, but if that's going to be tricky, don't. Okay, and then breathe out, bringing that hand down towards your right thigh, push up from the back hand, pause, go back to upright kneeling, and then come down and pause and have a rest. That was quite strong. I did forget to say that if you have your lovely kneeling pads, this is a really good one to put under the knee, because the knee is kind of taking a lot of weight there. So let's do it on the opposite side. So this time we're going to come up and put the left foot forward. So breathe in, coming up to upright kneeling. Breathe out. And then breathe in, take the left foot forward and walk it forward. And then lean over it and check that actually you've got a right angle behind that front knee. And then take both hands forward and go over that left knee. I think I might have said right knee there. Left knee. Okay, face looking towards the floor. Then push, come up. Palms facing each other, but still a right angle, hopefully, in that front knee. And then your left hand is going to go behind you while the right hand comes down to the thigh. So left hand goes behind and you look round to the back. So it's heading towards the right ankle, but it probably won't get there. Interesting back arch. Keep trying to go lower down in the groin if you can as you back arch. And then breathe in, go back up. And then take the right hand down towards the right foot. You can actually lean back this time towards that right foot. Look up to the ceiling. Now what you do with the left hand, you can have it up to the ceiling if it helps, but we're trying to bring that right hip forward. So think of that, breathing into that. So you can see it's almost like a half camel, just on one side. So you can see why it's used in a sequence where we're doing asanas, moving towards a specific asana. Okay, to come out of it, drop your left hand and then lift through with the torso and come down to kneeling. So comfortably kneeling, pause with the palms on the thighs, shoulders back. Hopefully that feels okay. Close the eyes for a moment. And I'll just warn you that you will need a cushion in a moment or your blanket folded up into, a nice square, because I need it for padding for your crown of your head. So just have a think, where can I get a cushion? Okay, so now reach for your cushion or whatever you've got, padded blanket, and position it just forward of you. Okay. And check that you've got padding for your knees. Just be kind to this body of yours. Okay. And I'd like you to take the hands round the back into familiar clasp round the back. And then I'd like you to come forward, lean forward. You might need to let the knees separate a little. Come forward and just let the forehead rest on that cushioned blanket or cushion. Okay, and then roll onto the top of the head and bring your knees under your hip joints. Okay. And if you want to, you can release the hands a bit for a moment to adjust the cushion, make sure it's really comfortably under the top of the head. Okay. Then clasp the hands again. And then lift the hands upwards to the heavens. And it's as though we're trying to take the hands over the head and down towards the floor. Now, technically, the knees are underneath the hip joints. You might need to move your knees backwards, but I'd be careful because I don't want the neck to be wriggling around in this position. Okay, and then breathing out, let hands go down. Place them palms downwards on the floor. Push and come up. And we're going to do that one more time. So I'm just going to do it sideways on in case you want to see it from the side to check positioning. So again, make sure you've got comfortable knees. Okay, first of all, widen out the knees and coming down, just place the forehead onto your blanket, comfortably relaxed. You can do palms upwards at the ankles for comfortable child's pose. Breathe into it. And then let's roll onto the crown of the head. So going right onto the crown of the head. And you can move your knees back so you think they're positioned underneath the hip joint. And then unfamiliar clasp. So clasp your hands as normal. And then one hand comes out of the fingers and notches into the next notch of fingers. So the unfamiliar clasp. Press the hands upwards to the heavens. And lift the hands up. The shoulders are working. Upper back working. Okay. And then lowering the hands down, releasing them, palms downwards on the floor. And then coming back to sit on your heels and just take your hands out along your mat. Walk the fingertips a little bit away from you in a long swan pose. Comfortable rest and also an interim pose. Widen out the shoulder blades, put the shoulders to the ground. Nice long back of the neck. And then start to walk your hands a bit towards you, pull them forward towards you, towards about where the knees are. and then come up, and we should hopefully be ready for the camel. Okay, so Ustra. Okay, so in the camel, kneeling, and just place a block, possibly onto your heels. All right, and then what I'd like you to do is come up to upright kneeling with block ready behind you, and just tentatively leaning back. Okay, leaning back, and seeing how that feels. If that feels too difficult, come up, and then try on the other side, leaning back onto your block. Okay, to make it even easier, you can go up onto your toes, and that takes the block up higher, and you can go back 45 onto your block quite nicely. Or some of you may find you don't actually need the block now. You'll go onto your heels, your toes tucked under. You can find your heels, and you push the belly button and pelvis forward, and allow the head to go back onto the upper back. Breathe into it. Very strong back arch. It's lovely for the front throat, thyroid, and parathyroid. Wonderful for the back, lower back. Very energizing pose. And then coming out of it slowly by lifting the head, use your neck muscles, press onto your belly, okay, and push, and you bring the rest of the body up and just sit back onto your heels for a moment. And because we worked so hard to get there, what we're going to do is we're going to do it again, because we spent a long time getting into preparation for this pose. So think about how you did it. Think about, do you need another block? You're only going to do it on one side. Do you feel comfortable doing it? If you don't, you can sit out. We've done lots and lots of wonderful poses this evening. So come up to upright kneeling. Think if you would like to tuck the toes under. Think if you'd like a block there. And then pushing the pelvis forward, leaning back, finding your heels on both sides if you can, or on one side, and going back. And so it's called a modified camel. And always pushing the pelvis forward if you can, because it tends to want to slide backwards. Because we spent a lot of work getting here, we may as well feel fairly comfortable. Stay here for a little bit longer. And then when we think we've only just got about enough energy to come out of it, bring the head up and then push with the hands, come up. And the best thing to do then is to do a forward bend, of course, as a counter pose. So let's go again down into something like child pose. You can use cushions for your head or no cushion for your head. You could walk the hands forward. I recommend that actually, because you'll feel where you were compressing the discs between the vertebrae and the lower back, you're now opening them out as you push your tailbone towards your toes. Then drop the shoulders and elbows out to the sides. Rest in the pose. And then slide the hands back and bring them palms upwards by the ankles. And really relax the arms and hands as much as you can, and the face, as though you're letting go and you're going to go to sleep in this position. And you can probably feel how beneficial it is as a counter pose to the camel. Then you might get to the point where you really don't want to move, but we're just going to slowly come up. So bring the hands to just beside the ears, palms downwards, and then push and come up. Okay, just pause and rest for a moment. And with just enough time to do two other lovely counter poses for when we've done all that back arching, so may as well squeeze them in. And one is the threading the needle, so let's just do that together. We come into a table pose comfortably, okay, and then breathing out, thread your right hand through and take the right shoulder to the ground, right side of the head to the ground. Pause, and breathe and relax. Breathe in, come up. Okay, and then let's go to the other side. So breathe out, take the left hand through, rest on the left side of the head. Pause, breathe. Lovely. And then push with your right hand, bring that left hand through and go wider than the table because we're going to end with a downward facing dog. So just go a little bit wider. Separate the back feet. Up you go onto the toes into downward facing dog. Extend by doing little walking steps. Stretching that Achilles tendon at the back. Okay, and then pushing the tailbone up towards the heavens, chin towards the chest. Open out the shoulder blades a little. Have the knees as straight as they possibly can be. Breathing into that pose. And imagine that, again, there was a belt underneath your pelvis, but was being pulled behind you. The pelvis being pulled backwards and up. And that will beautifully open out the discs in the lower back. Nice long stretch through them. They will end up being very happy discs. Okay, then go up onto the tiptoes and back down again. And just think of the hip joint itself going backwards and up, backwards and up. And then to finish, coming down to kneeling. Sit back onto your feet. Okay, sitting comfortably back onto your feet, shoulders back. Pause, rest your right hand on top of your left. Easy seated pose, easy seated kneeling pose, and then breathe in, crown of the head lifting up, breathe out, relax the shoulders down, breathe in, crown of the head lifting up. So you're making this really long neck. Lovely. And then we're just going to do alternate nostril breathing. So choose your dominant hand. For me, it's my right hand. Your left hand can come over. Your non-dominant hand can support the dominant elbow. Okay. And then you're going to use the pincer action of your ring finger and thumb. So you can either curl your index finger and middle finger under towards your palm, or you can, when we're doing it, you can actually rest them on your forehead straight out. So they're supported by pushing onto the forehead. So you choose, but it's the ring finger and the thumb that are doing it. So those of you who don't know alternate nostril breathing, it's really quite easy to remember. When you change and when you breathe out, you change nostrils. So you breathe in from one nostril, closing the other, and then when you breathe out, you swap over, breathe out from the other. So let's just close the right nostril, breathe in through the left. About to breathe out, so close the left and breathe out through the other side, the right. Always breathe in through the same side, so breathe in. And it's an out breath, so you need to swap sides. So close the right and breathe out through the left. In left. Close, out other side. In. Out other side. In. Out other side. In. Out other side. If your nose feels blocked, always pause, blow your nose. It's usually a good idea. In the same side. Out other side. In. Out. So just keep going with that, nice and rhythmic. What we have to remember is swap sides on the out breath. And this is lovely for quietening down, calming down. Body thinks, the mind thinks that the body's going to sleep. So the brain is tricked by doing this exercise into thinking that you're going into a sleep state. So it starts to relax and let the mind calm down. And for it to be really effective, it needs to be done for a minimum of 3 to 5 minutes. It's not just a 30-second thing. But also can be done, fortunately, lying down. It's great for calming down when there's any anxiety, tension, stress. Very useful pranayama, very useful breathing technique. and do a few more rounds of that. And then you'll probably be very pleased to hear that we're going into the deep relaxation. So a few more rounds, no rush. And then release back to normal breathing, just let the body be breathed. And then it's the final relaxation. So let's make ourselves really comfortable. The main things to do first is to make sure you've got enough blankets, one possibly for underneath you, and then one for on top. And then if you've got very bright lights, I recommend turning them down. If you have a candle, it's lovely to light a candle for this. And just do it by candlelight. So turning off very bright lights, it's going to go a bit dark. So if you can remember where you put your socks, it's quite a good idea to put your socks back on. And if you know you have a eye pillow, that's also a good idea to put on your eyes. So this is going to be about just under 10 minutes of relaxation. And I think somewhere there's a t-shirt you can buy that says, I only come to yoga for the relaxation at the end. I can understand that. So once you're comfortable, just thinking about whether you need a cushion or block underneath your head. Glasses off, my pillow on. And the lovely thing is there's nothing to do. So we're in Shavasana with the feet 2 to 3 feet apart, toes going outwards. The hands, we move the shoulders away from the head, open out the shoulder blades, palms upwards, a good 8 to 10 inches away from the hips. Chin slightly towards the chest, and you can do little wriggle jiggle movements just to check that everything feels that it's in the right place. And then during the relaxation, if anything starts to hurt, remember you can move and adjust. If you need to, you might want to roll over onto your side even, or bend the knees and place the feet on the floor. But the main rationale behind the relaxation at the end is for the body to feel completely comfortable and relaxed and able to absorb all the tremendous benefits of the practice that we've done all the way to the cellular level, and to also impact emotionally and psychologically. So it would be really detrimental to that if something was hurting and we were kind of ignoring it and getting stressed and not daring to move or not listening to the body. So just allowing the breathing to quieten down. And then it will feel as though the breathing's hardly noticeable. And if you wish, if you're practicing at home, I would recommend staying in this pose for longer. But for those of you who wish to end, you can wriggle the toes a little and the fingers, and then bring the legs to parallel. Breathing in, stretch the arms above the head and back. A longer stretch, stretch the toes. And then allow the hands to come back. Remove any eye pillows. Put glasses on if you need them. Move the blanket to one side, bend the knees, roll over, and come up to a comfortable position just to end the class. Now, if you're staying down, that's fine by me. Stay down. Don't rush to come up, but thank you.